So let me tell you the story about my bastard work. This is a story of its own. I want to evaluate, so to speak, and give you an idea of what this company's like. And I just wanted to say I want to do this in hopes that something good will come out of it in the future for that city. But anyways, I've worked for the city for 6 years. Okay. Been there half an hour, if not 40 minutes early every day. No issues, no call-ins, no complaints. Always did my job right. Had no issues, right? Well then, actually I just got suspended and gone through hell with this company. I've had my boss literally take I was sitting at the break room table. I've had him literally take my head and just shove it where I'm like that far away from slamming my face into the table. Like so much shit with this company. And then I've worked on the back of my truck for about the past 3 years, 3 or 4 days a week by myself. Let my partner go out and be on another truck that was short-handed. And when I say I work by myself, the past year and a half's literally been by myself because, was my driver and he gets out like 2 out of 500 houses. So I got suspended and it was basically over a water bottle with dry ice in it. I didn't think it was no more harm than a water balloon. Yeah. Because it didn't explode, it just split the side open, water came out. But yeah, I mean, just to go back to the putting through hell, I don't know if you remember it, but a few weeks ago there was a bad lightning storm. Like thunder and lightning like crazy. And I was on the back of a metal truck picking up trash trying to get done with for this company. So I'm on my 6-year anniversary. Same week I hit 6 years, 1 year from retirement, and they suspend me off of hearsay. And the first words out of the director's mouth, which he's a new director, is, "I'm suspending you over the video you put on Facebook." And then he goes, "Well, I'm suspending you over the video, and I'm suspending you over the actions." And then later on, within the same hour, he said, "Well, I'm just suspending you over what happened." So, he couldn't get a story straight.
Yeah.
In the same way, when I had my meeting with the city manager, which I'll talk about later. But anyways, when this guy got here about a year ago, he gave me my yearly review, and it was horrible. I was just a downright horrible employee. I didn't communicate with the customers well, but I got cakes baked for me every year. I got Christmas gifts I'd rack up Christmas over $200 worth of gifts. If I suck that bad, why would they be doing that?
And that's something people normally don't do with trash people.
Exactly. A lot of people don't do it with trash. All they say is, "Well, I feel bad for my trash guy," but that's it.
Yeah.
Which some people, they don't have the money to give out. But even the people that come out and say, "Hey, thank you. I don't got the money to do this. It's hard times, I know." Thank you is just as appreciative as a gift. To me at least. To rewind back, before this new public works director got in, I had an employee there that literally, I was standing on the truck, and he literally just walked up in a pissed off rage and flat out hit me. And I didn't do nothing. I was like, "I need a job. I'll go to my supervisor, let him take care of it." Dudes harassed me for my religious beliefs, for being a Christian, or not for being a Christian, but how I worship. And, he's throwing garbage bags at me. And we throw away needles like diabetics and all that. And you don't know exactly where those needles have been. You just guess that they're diabetic needles.
Yeah.
Because that's normally, diabetics. So, like I said, and any time I was out sick, even if it was for 1 day, I would go to the doctors and get a doctor note, regardless if I needed to or not. Just kind of back myself up and show, hey, look, I'm not trying to screw you out of, coming to work today. I'm really, I don't feel good. You spend $40 a pop, I'm not going to waste $40 if I didn't feel good. So, whenever that employee came up to me and hit me later on that day and all that stuff, later on that day, we've had meetings twice with the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. It's a federal organization, and they're talking about they handle, investigations against discrimination. Well, they tell us in the meeting, and this is federal, that all you have to have is write it down, put your initials on it or sign it, and date it. And that's enough for them to start an investigation. But yet when I brought this to my city, employer, the only thing my boss did was he looked me square in the eye and said, "What do you want me to do about it?" I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "I don't know, you fat man. You're the supervisor, not me." So I brought it to HR. I brought it to their attention. So they did this little investigation, brought a guy in asking yes or no questions, and came back to me and was like, "Well, there's no solid proof that this happened." I'm like, "How can you say that? A federal organization says this is all I need. And you're just city. You're not above federal." And they're like, "Well, there's nothing more we can do, blah, blah, blah." So it's just been hell like that. I've literally been cussed out, like screamed at and cussed out for coming into the shop to use the restroom. And I got sent home. I mean, literally, my boss looked at me. He's like, "If you fucking got to go to the fucking bathroom again, go home." Because I came in to use the bathroom. So I just, okay, see. Just been through crap like that over the years. And me and were the only ones that stuck through there. That has not ever quit that city or transferred to another department. And yet, we're the ones that get treated like crap. And you got guys like who showed up late for work. He's been there a little over a year. And I'm willing to just bet anything that if you add up all the days that he was late, it'd be well over 6 months worth, like consecutive days. Or like if you add them all together, and counted it, it'd be well over 6 months worth. But yet he's still there with a job. And he was on the back of the truck when I got suspended for the dry ice and bottle thing, and he was doing it too. But yet look at me. They actually terminated me, and he's still working. So, what is that? It's wicked government for you. So anyways, the new public works director, he gave me a new yearly review. Or my only yearly review from him. Talking about the customer support, talking about I need job improvement, And I'm like, dude, I hang the back by myself. My boss don't get out and help me. Except for 2 houses out of over 500 houses. I said, and then we go and help a 3-man truck. And they're all three guys are young people, so it's not like they can't handle it. I'm still getting done before they are, going over there to help them, just to ride to the dump, come back, and do more work. To where these other guys, they ride to the dump, stop at a store, and BS their way until about 2 o'clock, and then roll back in where they don't have to do nothing. And they got employees like he freaking checks his Facebook every 30 minutes on the route. When they come in from the dump, even if they do come in early, he sits out in the truck for 30, 45 minutes playing with his phone before he even gets out the truck to keep on working. But yeah, I come in and I continue to do work and I get shit on. But it's the fact that I brought all this, to my public works director's attention. I'm like, if I'm such a bad person, why am I still here? And if I'm such a bad person, explain the reasons you gave me a bad review. Supervisor or public works director looked at me and he was like, "I can't answer you." He didn't have no solid proof, no justification for a bad review. Which, whenever I went to my meeting, the review hearing, when I appealed it after my termination letter or whatever, after I had that meeting with him, I asked the city manager, I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, if I'm such a bad employee, if I'm so wrong at what I do, why am I here after 6 years? And he looked me in the eye and he said, "I don't have to answer your questions." I was like, "What?" He was like, "I'm not obligated to answer your questions." I was like, "You told me earlier that I may have some questions." He said, "No, I did." He goes, I told you that I may have some questions." He said, "I'm not obligated to answer any questions." I was like, "No." I was like, "You point blank looked me in the eye and said, you may have some questions and I may have some questions." He goes, "Well, I apologize. If that was it, I didn't intend that. I'm sorry about that. But to tell you the truth," he was like, "I don't know. I can't answer your question." I was like, "Exactly." I was like, "I've been getting that a lot here lately." I was like, me and bust our on the truck. He's a driver. Bless his freaking heart, dude. In all seriousness, about 2 years ago, he had a heart attack. Still working. And there's been times that he's been out there by himself in the dead heat, and it's killing him. Because it's a lot harder to jump out of the cab of the truck and help than it is to sling by yourself and stay back there.
Okay. And just to clarify, when you mean working by yourself, you mean there is a driver driving the truck and then you're on the back slinging the trash by yourself?
Depending on the driver.
Because usually when I see garbage truck go down, it's usually either two people. I've never seen just one person.
On our company, normally there's two guys in the back that pick up trash, one driving.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been some drivers down there, like, okay? Explain this to me, okay? Me and by ourselves, him driving and getting out and helping, and me on the back by myself, we're picking up routes up between 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning, getting done with them. We're picking on the biggest routes in the city by just the two of us. We're picking routes up by 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. These guys with a full crew still ain't getting done until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Explain to me how much improvement I need on my job. You know, to me, it looked like you need to kind of straighten out some of these other guys that are just BSing their way around.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're sitting there, and I told the city manager, I was like, you know, he was like, well, now we got evidence. You know, we could prove that you did it. You admitted it. Because I told him I was there. And I was like, well, yeah, I was there and I filmed it. I said, but if you take this into court, I said, you know, well, before I admitted to it, I told him, I said, if you take this into court, I said, they're going to throw it out because there's no evidence. You just see a bottle in a truck or the step of a truck in a street. That's it. Maybe some grass, you know. Mm-hmm. And anyways, after I told him I was there or whatever and I filmed it, he was like, well, you know, we got proof now. You just admitted it because it was all recorded and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. I said, but the fact you still suspended me based on hearsay, the fact we got here today is based on hearsay. It doesn't matter what I did today. You know, if y'all had this and brought this to my attention and fired me in one day, that's understandable. As long as you fired the other one involved too. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, Hunter S. Thompson best put it is in, you know, the truth is not told between the 9 to 5 hour. You know, and I took that as in, when you're at work, everybody lies off, which is the truth. Mm-hmm. You know, look at me. I try to be truthful, which I know in the end's a good thing. You know, it don't matter. I can still stand up, hold my head up high. You know, and you know, in God's eyes, I think telling the truth's better than lying. Mm-hmm. Well, it's just funny that, you know, I'm such a good worker, and I busted my tail in the back of my truck. I've worked out in thunder and lightning storms. I've drove into work when it was up to the door in water because it flooded. I've drove to work when it was just iced all over the roads. You know, for a $12 an hour job. You know, not even worth my life, but I did it to try to get the job done. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, this new guy pops in. And he's just all high and mighty on his horse because he's a Tech college grad. And it's retarded. I mean, he don't get his ducks in a row. And then, the supervisor's always going to back another supervisor. Mm-hmm. It don't matter. I knew going into this, when I appealed it, that basically I'm screwed. Because they're not going to do nothing. You know, if I went to them about somebody hitting me, they're not going to believe me. They're not, even if they do believe me, they're going to back the supervisor. Mm-hmm. That's just always how it is. Mm-hmm. I had a job working at the graveyard one time, and did my job. And when they fired me, they said I was too slow compared to another employee. Well, at this time, I've been there 3 months. This other employee's been there 3 years, 2 or 3 years, at least 2 years, I know. And I was maybe 10 seconds behind him on speed, on doing stuff, like lowering the caskets and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You know, but it all boiled down to is my old supervisor, the other guy that worked there, I was up in age, was his best friend. They were buddies. And he looked at me one day, he was like, we're going to raise you up in a backhoe bucket and trim hedges. You know, I just looked at him and said, y'all have fun with that. I said, I'm not doing it. You know, I'm not risking my life to trim hedges, you know, for $8.24 an hour. And the dude got in my face. I mean, he kept getting my face. They actually told me to hit him. And I'm like, dude, you're 64 years old. I mean, he was old, dude. Anyways, went, had a meeting, with one of the big bosses down there, and I explained it to him. I said, according to OSHA, you got to be in a harness and in a cage to be lifted up that high off the ground. Because, I mean, these were those tall Christmas trees that are like 15, 20 foot high. Mm-hmm. And the guy's like, well, you know what you're talking about. I said, yeah, of course, you know. I mean, I'm not going to come here and present a case and not know what I'm talking about, you know. And then eventually they let me go. You know, moral of the story, your work's going to back your supervisor up. It don't matter. The little guys have no say-so. I've watched a guy actually at the city convince to fire one of the guys that worked down there. It was just a driver. And there's other guys been down there 2 or 3 years, you know. And mind you, he did have a tardiness record, but he was still a good worker. Unlike just sucks all the way around. I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not trying to be mean, but he does. I mean, this mug will, like even his driver said, even when it, you know, they had their little spell for like a month having to work by themselves, this mug, instead of trying to get done, would literally dig through the trash to find copper and scrap just to go make a buck on the side. And it would take a 3 to 4 hour route and stretch it out to a 6 hour route. You know, and it's pathetic. It's sad. You know, but this guy's also an kisser. So it's sad to see that, you know, in today's world, that if you don't kiss and you're not a yes man, you're not going to get nowhere. Yeah. Point blank. A hard-working man, that's nothing. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, you know, even 50 years ago, you know, hard work paid off. Mm-hmm. And it's sad to see that the way the world's going is nowadays it pays off. You know, it sucks. Stuff with the case manager that fooled me around to all these, which I know they're trying to help and get me back to work because, you know, that's their objective for workman's comp is not to pay you. Hurry up, get you better, and go. Yeah. But finally, I took a day off. I went to the doctor's after work one day, took a day off, and went to this other specialist. My daughter's like, hey, you know, I like this guy. You know, I trust him. Let's send you here. 10 minutes, if that, into talking to the guy. I mean, even if that, maybe 5 minutes. Dude knew what was going on with me. You know, he poked around and saw, you know, that I had that little tennis elbow in the pelvic region thing. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I brought the paperwork showing that it wasn't due to it wasn't due to safety issues. It was just due to overacting. Because like I said, me and, you know, the only two down there that bust our for everybody. Mm-hmm. You know. And like I said, poor he freaking last 7 months gets dropped off every single day to set cards, and he don't even get the rest to go to the dump and back. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, like everybody else does. Mm-hmm. I mean, the point of the story is it's crooked, man. You know, it's straight up crooked. I mean, the big supervisors are going to back the lower supervisors no matter what. It don't matter. It does not matter. You know. Mm-hmm. And it's pathetic, to be honest with you. You know, it's a shame, to, like I said, to see that brown nose didn't get you ahead in the company. Mm-hmm. Even if you ain't got a clue what you're doing and you're not good at it. You know. But you got guys like me and others that just rock at what we're doing. And then we get shit on. You know. I'm not a toilet. That city is just crooked.
Yeah, that is a shame that you, a person that's worked loyally for the city for 6 some odd years, yeah, and this is how they repay you.
This is your
final send off.
And you know what sucks so bad about it is that I've seen guys come in there and get written up 2 or 3 times, and they're still working. And I had one ride up with a little scratch on the car. And then all of a sudden, bam, you're fired for this misconduct. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I wasn't hurting nobody. I wasn't littering. I mean, it was water. I was like telling the 8-year-old out in the yard, you know, you can't play with a water balloon because it has rubber and water. And I can understand if I was putting like nails, like little nails or tacks or something in it.
Yeah, something and then that was actually dangerous. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But I guess this is considered a bomb because he kept reflecting towards the explosiveness of the ordeal. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, it's freaking water. I mean, you got super suckers that put out more pressure than this.
Yeah.
You know what
I
mean?
know, I've been hitting the eye with one of those.
Exactly. You know, and they're selling those little 6-year-old kids.
Exactly.
You got employees down there that freaking Facebooking all day. You got a driver down there that literally stays on his phone texting and Facebooking while driving one of the big freaking trucks. I mean, literally, you got to climb into the truck. It's so big. It's like it's the cab of it's about the same as a big rig.
So what you're saying is we have city employees texting and driving city vehicles.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes. Now I've literally seen it. We're going to the dump, and this one and our garbage truck, and then it was still the city's garbage truck. It was another crew behind us, following us, going to the dump. And I saw this truck pull off to the side, off the road, hit a bank, and just tip the truck over. The day before that happened, our boss had a meeting with the drivers because there was on the radio about a garbage truck tipping. And he was like, if any of y'all tip one of our garbage trucks, that's it. You're fired. No questions asked. What happened to this guy? Didn't have to take a drug test, which is required. Didn't get written up. Didn't get a warning. Nothing. Actually, our boss arrived there and got the ambulance to hurry up and get him to the hospital so he wouldn't have to do a drug test. So there wouldn't be no questions. They wouldn't have time to come in and say, okay, you need to take him to do a drug test. Try to get them in and out before all that. Go, hurry up, go, you know.
Switch them out so before the proper authorities get here.
Exactly. So anyways, to get my story, basically it's a sad shame that maybe 400 years ago, this nation was founded upon freedom to do as you please, upon truth, upon justice, you know. And then all of a sudden now it's, oh, we're the government, we can do as we please. You know, and to me that's a shame. I mean, you look at what our nation is built off of, and then now it's just, you know, who can screw who faster. The government thinks they're all high and mighty, you know, which in a sense, they're the government, but in a sense, that doesn't mean that they should be out screwing the honest people. So, that's my story.
So, how do you feel about the suspension?
I think it's a load of crap. We've had guys come in that blow over double the legal limit at 7 a.m. for alcohol, like drivers. They kept their job. We've had a guy failed drug test, still kept his job. I blow up water, I'm fired. You know, it's a bunch of crap, man. To me, it's not fair. You know.
So, what's your overall outlook for working with the government now? How do you?
I don't think I'd ever get back into it. I mean, to be honest with you, it's you know, you hear a lot. My buddy of mine told me the other day. You know, he was like, everybody out there saying government job's the best job out there. I haven't had a raise. I've been there 6 years. I hadn't had a raise in 4 years. But yet they can go spend thousands of dollars on plants to put at City Hall. You know, they can go on their so-called retreats out to the mountains, which is supposedly paid for something else through someone else. Who's just going to pay that much money just to say, hey, let's all go camping? You know, rent a cabin for a few days. I don't like it.
Do you think they were biased?
Yeah, of course. I think those who brown nose is up in the game, and I mean, in all retrospect, I just believe that, you know, it's not a working man society anymore. It's a who can stab the other one in the back first. I mean, I had 6 years over a guy that's been there for a year. No complaints on me. He's been written up before, been late numerous of times, and yet he's still there. And he did the exact same thing I did, but I'm fired.
What exactly is the pay, going back to the whole annual salary thing, what exactly is the pay like working down the back of a garbage truck for the city?
Good question. The city, I've made $12.18 an hour. I brought home, you know, after insurance took it out and all that, on average $300 and something a week. Okay, privatized companies out there are slingers, like what I'm doing, are bringing home over $500 a week. So people out there saying, government's a good job, you work for the government, that's good. That's not true. The pay sucks compared to what you could do in a private business.
One last question. I remember you mentioning something about yearly reviews and stuff. I don't know if you mentioned or not, I can't remember, but you were saying something about not getting, they said you didn't get your work done on time or something, you were too slow.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yes.
Could you expand more on that?
Gladly. We clock out at 3 o'clock. We work 7 to 3. Okay? He said, I don't get done in the allotted time. And I asked him, the public works director, I was like, you talking about 3 o'clock when we clock out? I don't get done by then. He said, yes. I said, okay, well, explain to me how I get done my route, even by myself, go to the dump, come back, sometimes having to help other guys with their routes, come back, wash my truck or wash carts or set and pick up carts, garbage cans, and I'm still clocking out at 3 o'clock with a job finished. And he just looked at me and was like, nothing to say. Couldn't justify it. I was actually told by a former employee that this guy in particular, is what he does is he comes into businesses, and if they're looking to get rid of a department, he finds a way to just eliminate it. And I believe that's what they're doing. I mean, I honestly believe the city cannot just grab their balls and say, you're laid off. We're done with this department. They got to take the coward way out and screw people out of a living.